you talk about your pyramid just so people get a real idea? You talked about G-bombs, but can you tell us what it looks like so we can see what are the most nutrient-dense foods and which ones should we get the most of in our diet and on up?
Thank you for that. And you mentioned earlier, which I'm 100% in agreement with, is that we have an unprecedented opportunity in human history today to eat a huge variety of different types of plants. We can eat microgreens. We can eat, fruit and the berries in the wintertime. We can get frozen wild blueberries. Yeah. We have beans of all types. We have soybeans. And variety is huge. So the blue zones didn't have a huge variety in their diet. We can do better than a blue zone could have done. We can use modern science to pick the best habits of almost all the different blue zones, which all had one good thing they were doing, but there was nobody that put together all these best things from every blue zone into a dietary portfolio, which is what a nutritarian diet does. It tries to put together all the lifespan anti-cancer factors into one dietary portfolio. So absolutely that the base of the pyramid is vegetables, but we don't want to just eat one type of green vegetable. We don't just have kale and strawberries, and we want to have different green vegetables. We want to have both raw and cooked, both cruciferous and non-cruciferous. We want to eat artichokes and asparagus and broccoli and lettuces and dip. But the fact that we can eat all this variety is huge, and we can eat colorful vegetables and orange things and kombucha squashes and different peas and snow pea pods.
So the vegetables are on the bottom, and then tell us how you go up, and because you add nuts and seeds. Some folks feel nuts and seeds are not as crucial. So can you tell us more about these foods that you feel are so nutrient dense that are important for us to eat?
Yes, the G-bombs, including beans and fresh fruit and different types of vegetables. I don't think grains are that essential, but certain grains, certainly like quinoa, are healthy. Mm-hmm. I do think that dried soybeans and edamame are super healthy anti-cancer foods and should be included in the diet. And they're not as, tofu and soy milk are more processed. I want people to make an effort to include some real soybean in there, like a dried bean in there. Mm-hmm. And yes, we give more credence to long-term epidemiologic studies. And here's what they all show with an overwhelming amount of concordance. In other words, what I'm saying right now is that every study looked at this issue about nuts and seeds in the diet or out of the diet as a source of fat in vegan populations and non-vegan populations. And every study with thousands of participants showed the same thing. About a 39% reduction of cardiovascular death and about a 20% reduction in all-cause mortality, including reduction in cancer deaths, from including nuts and seeds in your diet, at least 1 ounce a day. Excluding nuts and seeds from your diet is a major risk factor for cardiac arrhythmia, sudden cardiac death, and increases the risk of cancer, and you're not absorbing the phytochemicals from the foods you're eating. And in the Seventh-day Adventist Health Study 2, which is one of the most important studies because it looked at people eating different amounts of animal products and showed more animal protein mean more death and more plant protein made for longer life. That means paying some attention to protein on a plant-based diet where you're eating edamame and you're eating quinoa and asparagus and artichokes and beans that are high in protein and nuts that are high in protein, not just having, a macrobiotic diet based on rice or a fruitarian diet or a potato-based diet. It showed that paying attention to the variety of these amino acid mix is actually enhanced lifespan. But one thing that all these studies showed conclusively, and I'm talking about literally scores of studies showing the same thing, that the exclusion of nuts and seeds from a diet increases your risk of death and shortens lifespan. It's not a question or even it's not a controversy. It's just you have radical components within the vegan community. But among us nutritional scientists and physicians, I don't think there's any controversy. Right. What the evidence shows is overwhelming.